Well, hello, boys and girls. And I am so excited to be here tonight. And I wish I was looking out at your faces instead of all these puppets' faces and Pastor Steve's face.
Thanks a lot,
Although
Miss
I
Barber.
am glad that he's here with me tonight, and also Nick, because they are going to get me through this.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time painting because, I don't have a problem, with y'all face to face, but when I don't see you out there and looking at a camera, it's a whole nother ball game. But we're excited. I'm hoping that everybody has tuned in and ready to paint and have some fun. Before we get started, though, I'm going to ask Pastor Steve if you'll just pray with us.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to jump right in.
Sounds good. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Precious Heavenly Father God, just thank you so much for everybody that's tuned in tonight. And Lord, as Miss Barbara teaches us all how to paint, Lord, me especially, I just thank you for all the blessings that we have in her, and thank you for her ministry. And I pray for all these boys and girls. I just pray you bless over them and let them just have a great time tonight. And we thank you for them all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, you can all thank Paxton Stalvey for painting with Miss Barbara because it was his idea, and I'm glad he thought of it, though, because it's going to be a lot of fun. You got a packet, and if you did not get a packet, you can come by the church this week and pick one up for next week. We're actually going to do some practice things tonight and learn some different techniques and just some things that the paint will actually do. Okay, because paint will do different things when you do different things with it.
It's all new to me,
hey.
Miss Barbara. This is all you.
Okay, well, in your packet, you got 2 pieces of paper. Okay, one of those sheets of paper may be a little bit thicker than the other one. And you may have, like me and Pastor Steve, ours are the same. So we're just going to put one of those aside. And if you have one that's thicker than the other one, you take the thick one and put to the side. And that's going to be your paper that you're going to paint your painting on next week. Okay? Like I said, this week we're going to do some practice things and learn some things about the paint. And next week we're going to actually paint a painting. And we're all going to paint the same thing. And this is what we're going to actually paint.
Wow.
We're going to paint this lily. There we go. We're going to paint a flower like this. And even though we're all going to use the same colors, we're going to use the yellow, red, and orange, and we're going to paint the same flower with the same colors, every picture is going to look different, I guarantee you. No two will look alike.
I have no problem with that. Mine will definitely look different.
Okay, so in your packet, now that you have your one sheet of paper, you have your paints. You can open those up. I put an extra paintbrush in your packet. I want you to use the paintbrush that I put in there because the paintbrush in your packet looks like this. Okay, you see how that looks on the end? It's all kind of wampus. Yeah.
Pastor Steve's already.
Okay. When you use your good paintbrush that I gave you, there's some rules for using your paintbrush. When we wet our brush, when we dip it into the water, you don't have to take it all the way to the bottom of the cup. Don't press it down on the bottom of the cup, or it's going to look like that little red brush that came in your packet, your paint. So you don't want it to look like that. So don't be pressing your brush down on the bottom of the cup and squiggling it around. And you don't want to press hard on the paper either. You're going to use the bristles of your brush, not the hard part of your brush to paint. Okay? So I need you to take your paper towel and fold it up in a little square. And that's going to be like your blotter to blot off your water. Okay? Because this is water paint and watercolors, and we're going to use a lot of water tonight. You also got a color wheel in your packet. I'm going to talk to you just a minute about the color wheel. Everybody get your color wheel out and look at it. At the top of the page, it is red. Okay, there's 3 primary colors. They're red, yellow, and blue. Okay, you cannot mix any two colors together to get red, yellow, or blue. You have to start with those primary colors. If you mix them together, if you mix red and blue together, you're going to get in this purple family right here, okay? If you mix the blue and the yellow together, you're going to get in the green family right here. And if you mix red and yellow together, you're going to get in that orange family, okay? Now, some of you know that have painted with me before, what do you get when you mix the colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, like red and green or purple and orange? What are you going to get?
Mud.
Mud, that's right, or brown. And sometimes we need brown, and that's okay, but most of the time you don't want to mix them together and get brown, or you're just going to have a big mud puddle on your page. Aubrey, I hope you're listening to me now. You know Miss Barbara always gets on to you about making mud. You got to know when to quit. Aubrey likes that brown. Okay, I want you to take your practice paper, your piece of paper that you kept out, and your pencil, and we're going to divide your paper into 8 sections because we're going to do 8 different techniques of painting, or some different samples of what the paint will do in 8 different sections. You don't need a ruler, you don't have to be exact. I want you to, you can get the paper here, Nick, and I want you to start at the top and just draw a line with your pencil straight down the middle of the paper. Okay, just divide it in half. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exact. If it's a little wavy, that's okay. Now turn your paper to the side and do it again. Right down the middle. Steve, follow me. You're out of, that's not what I told you to do.
I'm with you.
Go to the middle of your paper again.
Okay.
From the side and go straight to the bottom. So now you have 4 sections. Now you can go into the first section and divide it in half, top to bottom. Good job. And then the second half, and divide it into half. Like I said, they don't have to be exact, but you should have 8 different sections on your paper. All right, good job. You can put your color wheel up there so you can look at it. Now, I hope you all have your 2 glasses of water, 2 cups of water. One is for your dirty water and one's for your clean water, okay? And what I want you to do is we're going to do some practice things on each square. Don't use the red, yellow, or orange paint in your little tray because we're going to use those colors next week to paint our picture, and I want to make sure that you have enough paint to paint your painting next week. So you can use any other color in your palette except the red, yellow, and orange. Don't use red, yellow, or orange. So, dip your brush in the water, get it good and wet, and then go to the first square and just paint it with plain water, no paint on it. Paint in that whole section. You may have to dip your brush a couple of times to get it good and wet. You don't want it puddled up real big, but you want it good and wet, okay? All right, once you've done that, and it'll shine, you can see it shining in the camera. Once you do that, then dip into a color, and I'm going to go with this green. Just wiggle it around. You can use the top of your paint tray. I'm going to move mine over here so you can see it. You can use the top of your paint tray to put your paint, get your water, get a little bit of your paint color, and just wiggle it around on your paint tray, the lid. That way you get a consistent color. Okay, once you get your brush loaded, I want you to just paint from the top to the bottom, just across with the paint. All the way down, and it's going to get lighter as you go down. It doesn't have to fill in the whole square. but stay within that 1 square. And if it's not dark enough for you, just get you some more paint. This is called a wet wash, wet on wet, and it's just a wash. You're just gonna gradually get lighter as you go down the page, okay? You want to try not to have any lines left in it. You want it to stay kind of consistent. If it's not sliding on, let me see what you got there, Steve.
I'm about to get it on. I was just
Okay.
starting.
All right, good. Just go back and forth. Hold your paintbrush straight up and down.
Straight up and down.
And you can go back and forth. You don't want to scrub it, you want to paint it. You don't want to mop it, you want to paint it. Just go back and forth. Now, you may have to come down on the sides if you've got a lot of water, but try to get it consistent. And that's just called wet on wet. And it just takes practice to make it real smooth. So you need a little bit more water, Pastor Steve. If it starts pulling, if your paint starts pulling, you need more water. Don't be afraid of the water. Good job. And these are small brushes, and sometimes you would use a bigger brush, but depending on what you're painting. But okay, you did good, very good. I hope all of you are doing as good as Pastor Steve. Good job. Okay, now I want you to rinse your brush. Remember, don't jab it on the bottom of the cup, just rinse it out, and then blot it off on your napkin, your paper towel. And the next thing that we're going to do in the next square, I want you to watch this and then you can do it yourself, okay? I'm going to paint a circle. And with clear water, I'm just going to paint a circle. Now, if you want to use a pencil and draw a circle first and then paint it in, you can do that. Or if you can tell where your water is, just paint in the circle, get it good and wet. And then we're going to go and pick up some paint, and I'm going to stick with the green, and just drop it in that circle. You see, I'm just dropping the paint in there. Now, the paint will not go past your water line. You can pick up your paper and tilt it, and it will roll out to the edge of the edge of that water line, but it will not go past that water line. You can drop a lot of it. Go ahead and start. I want you to get plenty of paint in there so that it'll go all the way to the edge. So you can hold it up and let it run, and it will stop right when it gets to where the edge of that water, it will stop. I didn't get quite enough water in mine. It's got to be good and wet. Got it, Pastor Steve?
I'm working on getting a new color here.
All right.
A little blue.
Yeah, he's going to go blue. Okay, there I got enough water. If you can see that, I just rolled it around, and he's going to zoom in on that, and you can see that it didn't go past the water line. I got a lot of water in it, and I can lift that water off by just taking a dry my brush, and letting the brush pick it up. I don't want to pick all of it up because I want it to stay green. All right, you need more water, Pastor Steve.
Oh, it's pretty wet.
Now you want it to see how mine just rolled around?
Yep.
And takes a lot of water. This is watercolor paper, so it will, there you go. Now pick it up and let it, see it moving. See how that does?
Oh, wow.
You hear that? Oh, wow, he says. If you did a square or a heart, whatever you painted, the paint will not go past that water line. Unless you blow on it or something, then you may blow it out of the water line. But otherwise, it will stay right in that water line. Pull it over here, Pastor Steve. Get a close-up of his, Nick. He did a good job.
Good job.
All right. So that is painting, and we're just going to call it a waterline paint. All right. In the next square, I want you to take your white crayon that I told you to get either a white crayon or rubber cement. Rubber cement's kind of like a glue or a paste, and you can paint it on what you do not want color to adhere to. If you want to leave something white, then you paint it with a crayon, color it in with a crayon or rubber cement, and it won't, the paint won't adhere to it. So you can just draw something. You can write your name. You can do a cross. You can do a heart. You can do whatever you want to. I'm going to just write my name. Write it kind of hard because with white, you can't really go back over it. Once you get something drawn on there, you're going to go and pick up a color. And just paint over it. And you'll see when you paint over it, there's my name. What did you draw on yours, Pastor Steve?
Can you see it?
I see it. Can you see it, boys and girls? Nick's going to zoom in on it. There he goes. Pastor Steve did a cross, and I wrote my name. So the paint will not adhere to the paper where you drew with your white crayon. Or you can do a candle, wax, or rubber cement, or anything like that. It's called resist, okay? So it's a resist paint. It's a resist technique, okay? The next one's going to be kind of fun. Get your, we're going to use 3 colors, and I'm going to use blue, green, and a little bit of yellow, even though I told you not to use yellow. We're going to have to use a little bit. Going to take a little bit of blue paint.
We can use any color, Miss Barbara?
You can use 3 colors that's going to go good together. Like the yellow and the blue is going to make green, okay? So you want to do maybe, you can do red, purple, and blue, okay, or red, orange, and yellow, yellow, blue, and green. Can't use the orange, that's right. So what you're going to do is just paint some on. These are not the best paints, and I'm sorry about that. If you really like painting and you really think you want to do more with painting, then get your mom or dad to go to the Hobby Lobby or Michael's or somewhere when they open up and get you some good paints. So I'm painting some red, some blue, some green, and this is just on dry paper. And I'm going to put some yellow in the middle. I didn't wash my brush out enough.
And which ones did you tell us to avoid using?
I said to avoid the red, yellow, and orange, but you can use a little bit of it. We just don't want to use all of it. Okay. Now, once you get those in, there's going to be a hard line where they meet. And what I want you to do is just get clear water and go in, and you're going to soften that line. You're just going to kind of use clear water. Oops, I didn't get any water. And just go right between the 2 colors and just wiggle the brush around. And it'll soften a little bit, and it looks more like it's just blended. Okay?
All right.
Give you a little bit of time to do that. You may want to wet your paper because you're not getting enough water. Go ahead and wet your paper. You may want to do that too, boys and girls. You may want to wet it like we did the first technique because Pastor Steve was doing it with a dry brush, and he didn't have enough water, and it's not going to blend well if you do it that way.
Okay.
Okay. If you get some good strong colors in the two areas, and then you take just a water brush, just clear water on your brush, clean your brush, and then go into your clean water and just kind of blend them together and see how they'll run together, and it'll look real muted and kind of like tie-dyed stuff, which that was our era. That was
Right.
our thing. We liked that tie-dye. So you see how that looks kind of, it mutes together, it runs together and blends well. Okay? The next one is something that you may not have available to you right now, but your parents, you can just take a note of this and can get it for them later. If you take like a half a cup of water and a good tablespoonful of salt and mix that together, and Steve, you can use mine here. We're going to share this one.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take this salt water, and you'll just have to watch and see how this is done. And we're going to paint with the clear salt water into one of our squares. Get it really good and wet with the salt water. Salt and watercolors really do some cool things. So you want to get it really good and wet. And then we want to take a really good strong color. I think I may use like the purple or the black. I'm not sure which one I've got here. It's purple. I'm going to take some of the purple and just drop the purple paint. Get it good and wet in your palette and pick it up on your brush and just let it drop on there and watch it. It'll just kind of spread out. Can you get a zoom in on that, Nick? There we go. You see how that just kind of spreads out? Watch it when I drop it on there. And it just kind of fans out like a fan. Yours is doing good, Pastor Steve.
There we go.
So that's what salt water will do. Drop your color on there and it just bleeds out. It makes all these little wispy little lines there. So that's pretty cool. So that's a technique that you can use when, I don't know what you'd be painting that you want to use that technique, but there'll be something that you can use it for. It's pretty cool. You can try all kinds of different things of how the paint will react with different things. Like the next one, we're going to paint again with clear water this time. We're not going to use the salt water again. We're going to use just clear water. Paint in our square. We're going to add some color. I think I'm going to use, I was trying to use black, so I think I'm going to, I got brown.
Gonna make
You can't
mud, Miss-
tell.
You gonna make mud, Miss Marla?
I'm going to make mud. You can't tell with these, in these paint palettes, which color you're going to get. But I'm going to paint it in, just paint it onto the water, just like we did the wash to start with. Just make you a wash. Try to get it as smooth as you can without any lines in it. That's hard to do with a little brush. Okay, good job. Then I've got a bottle of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and a couple of straws for us, Pastor Steve.
All right.
And we're just going to hold our finger, just dip the straw into the alcohol bottle, put our finger on top of it, lift it out, and you've got some in your straw. And we're just going to drop it as little bit as we can on the paper. Are you zoomed in on this one? And it will spread out, kind of like the salt, but it's kind of more stays in a circle. And you can't really see that, but when you do this at home, you'll be able to see how that works. And as it dries, it will make really cool little designs. Yours will probably work better because you have, yours is a lot drier. Get it all the way down in the bottom, then put your finger on it.
Okay.
Okay, now lift it out. And you can drop it on there. Ooh, big job. Okay, and as that dries, it's gonna spread out and it's gonna move the paint. Mine's making kind of a cross thing here going on. You have to wait till it dries, and coming back to that later, you'll see how it, what it does. Okay, another cool thing that you can do, I like this one. And you won't have this with you, but just take a piece of saran wrap. I couldn't find saran wrap in the kitchen, so I got these plastic gloves.
Okay.
So just take a piece of saran wrap, that's that plastic wrap stuff. You find in the kitchen, wad it up good so it's all crinkly. Then lay it out, and we're gonna put some paint on the glove, okay? Just put some different colors. Just dab them on there. Get it good and wet. You want to use lots of water. And it's certainly not going to be solid on your plastic wrap. It's just going to bead up on there. But what we're going to do is put it on there, rinse your brush, get your paper just a little bit wet. I'm going to use the last square because I think it'll be easier to do on the last square. You don't want to get it, whoops, I didn't get it clean enough. You don't want to get it really too wet, but just enough. And I probably did, so I'm going to dab mine off with my paper towel.
Couldn't get all
I
this
don't
red
want it-
out of mine.
Don't want it to shine. You can wiggle it around and just keep moving it on your paper towel till it's dry. Okay? As soon as you get that painted onto your saran wrap and you got your paper painted a little bit, we're going to flip it upside down on top of it. So I'm having paint run off over here. Thank goodness this is a white table that can be washed. Okay, just flip it over on top of the paint, mash it down, then hold on to it, and we're going to flip it over.
Got a runner.
Flip it over,
Get this alcohol off.
and then just kind of squish it together on your paper. Just squish that plastic wrap all around, because it'll have little lines and stuff in it. I didn't get it quite wet enough right there because I want it to get all the way in it, but I'm going to have a dot in the middle. I may have like a flower here going on. Okay, just squish it around on your paper and then pick up the plastic straight up if you can, like that. And then how cool does that look? Cool, it makes really cool designs in there. Oh, look at Pastor Steve's. His really looks. See all this different colors in there and
That's
different
neat.
little designs? That's pretty neat, isn't it?
It is, it really is.
You can use all kinds of objects to paint with. I've got some Q-tips. If you want to do like dots, in that other square we're going to make some dots. You can use the end of your paintbrush. Just take the end of your paintbrush and stick into your paint, then put on there and you have dots. You don't have to use the bristle end all the time. You can use the other end too. You can use a Q-tip. Q-tips make a little bigger dots and more precise dots. So just play around this week at home and see what different things that you can come up with to paint with. Ooh, that made a good one. And different designs that you can make. You could use a sponge. You could try all kinds of things. Of course, get parents' permission to do that before you go playing around in the kitchen and the bathroom looking for things to use paint with. Pastor Steve is making something. He is getting artistic, boys and girls.
I wouldn't say that. I'm just trying to keep up with Miss Barbara.
He's got a circle going on. I just randomly threw mine on there.
Yeah, let's just.
Oh my goodness. I think it's
It's a
something. It's a dotted something.
It's something. I'm working on my stick figure. Y'all leave me alone.
All right. So this week, I want you to practice some of these techniques and just come up with different ideas. Blend some different colors together and see how it comes out. And an exercise that we're going to do, we're going to flip over our paper. So if you got any really thick water on it anywhere, you may want to just dab that off if you're on your nice dining room table, if you don't have something underneath it. But if it doesn't matter, just flip it over.
You got my happy little stick man, dotted stick man going on, Miss Barbara.
Oh, yes, you do. He's got a stick figure going on.
That's for Pastor Nick, who will revel in that. Can I have one of those napkins there?
You sure can. Yes.
Thank you.
Woo, sorry. Okay, so now I want you to flip your paper over. It'll be a little bumpy because it's wet on the other side, but when it dries, it'll be flat again. And what we're going to do is an exercise that will give you something to practice on this week. We're going to take your pencil, put it in the middle of your paper, and Pastor Nick is going to put some music on, and we're going to close our eyes, and I want you to move your hand to the music, okay? You can stop at any time. You don't have to wait till the music quits. You can stop when you think that you have done enough, okay? But try to make big swooping lines or straight lines, whatever you want to, whatever the music is leading you to do. Okay? I don't know what song he's going to play. It may be fast, it may be slow. So just move your hand to the music all over your paper with your eyes closed, okay? And no peeking.
No peeking.
No peeking. Close your eyes. You got yours closed?
Shut your eyes.
Owen, he said close your eyes. Ethan, close your eyes. Okay. Okay, open your eyes. Oh my goodness, Pastor Steve, you have nothing to paint. Okay, I got some swirls going on mine.
I have a heartbeat.
And Pastor Steve has this hospital thing. You know, at the hospital where they have that little monitor and it goes up and down.
I was directing the song.
You might need to do yours again.
All right.
But yeah, for those that have something that looks like Pastor Steve's here, a straight squiggly line, you may want to do something else. Okay. You may want some little loops and curls in there, because what you're going to do, you're going to fill in each one of those areas with a different technique, okay? With a different painting technique that we learned tonight, okay?
Good. Sounds good.
All right, so let's go again, Pastor Nick.
Yes, I'm ready.
I'm gonna watch Pastor Steve because I don't need to do mine again. Much better, much better.
How about that? I got
You did much better that time, and I hope you did too. Okay, so this week, use your paints. Don't use the yellow and the red and the orange if you can help it, because we want to have plenty of that for next week. And just color in, paint in the different sections, or you can paint an area. You can do whatever you want to. It's your practice sheet, okay? You can find something different than a paintbrush. You can mix your colors. You can use your crayon to mark out the ones that you don't want painted. You can do whatever you want to do, okay? I hope y'all had fun tonight. I hope you learned a little bit. Next week, we're going to start painting our lily, okay? And when I chose the lily, you know, I just remember that Bible verse.
I've got a feeling that Pastor Steve's will not look like this. I'm just guessing.
No, it will not look like that. And it will be beautiful, though, I'm telling you.
Okay.
And when you're painting, I'll go ahead and tell you this too. When you're painting, and next week, parents, when your child is painting, don't touch their paintbrush. Don't touch their paper. It's their painting. They need to do it themselves, even if it's a muddy flower.
You're not going to help me, Miss Barbara? I'm in trouble.
I'm not going to help you. Nobody, don't let anybody touch your painting, your picture, because you want to sign it when you get finished, and you can't sign it if somebody else did part of it, okay? So you want to do it all yourself, and you can't make a mistake. You can't make a mistake. It's going to be beautiful. I'm telling you, everything.
Well, we'll see.
It will. It will be beautiful. Because the Bible says, consider the lilies of the field. Y'all know that verse?
Yep.
Hey, those lilies just cover that field in a beautiful, beautiful flowers all over the field. It's like clothing to the field, and they're beautiful. And they didn't do anything to get there. God just put them there. So, you know, your painting's going to be beautiful.
Well, thank you.
And so is yours, and we will see you next Sunday night. We may start next Sunday night at 6:30, okay? Pastor Steve got through a little bit early tonight, but he may not next week. So if he does, if he gets finished early next week, we'll start at 6:30. So you just be ready, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Sounds great. Bye, kids.